you don't understand this, you're a dumbass. A bunch of pencil dick cowards that are trying to sabotage other people by chemically castrating them, giving them drugs that even shrink their penises. And if you don't understand that, look at the Greek statues and ask yourself who has the biggest penises and why. Okay? Horus to them, one of the things it means is whore eyes, a slut. Okay? Women who survive are whores. Her eyes. Okay? It's like we go to Vegas and get a bunch of rich, greasy scum, immoral filth, and they're escort whores and say these are the elect. This is basically where they're going with this. Okay. Her eyes. His, right? So her eyes is Horus. Okay, her, she's a dumbass. Okay, you get her to see things in a way that makes her a fucking whore and make her think that she's important. Okay, that's the idea. Horus, her eyes. Okay, that's where they've gone with this. Set, his. Okay, the T is the plus, turn it around, interchangeable vowels. Okay, the idea is you whore her, you tease him, and he basically, one way or another, uses despicable sex cult Greco-Roman garbage to fucking have sex with her. Okay, obviously every woman who has sex with them is they're beyond redemption. God despises them. That's why they lie about everything, because they know it's impossible for even a person with basic sense to work the angles and not see them as complete scum, rewarding the enemy as utter filth. Okay, so obviously this is the end of manhood. It is a beta male order. We look at the word Hercules. We get her call E's. Her kill A's, they kill the O's and kill the I's, right? She kills on behalf of the E's. And so this is Hercules is somebody who's trying to see things who lacks Ra. To some dumbasses, he sees like Ra, right? It's part of the wordplay. Okay. Also, when you turn the word around, you get seal, cry. Okay. You also get soul for see. Ray or Ra. Okay. So women are basically seen as the bringers of life, making life worth living, etc. Through sex, through their pussy. Okay, the portal, right? The port, the shipping, the birth, the shipmates, teammates, and blah, 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 blah. Okay. The world is basically a bowl that covers the light, fucking off man's connection with Ra. Incidentally, the python in Greek mythology that Apollo kills is said to be the son of Gaia. Okay, it's a son of a bitch. Life is a bitch because the world is a bitch and her son is a bitch. Okay, and that's the same thing with the elite, right? Why does life suck so bad? Because they come from a long line of bitches. If you don't pick up on that, you're an idiot. If you think you should bend over for them and do whatever they say, you're a fucking coward, a pussy, and a dumbass. Okay, so Helios through the Oceanid Percy, he's the father of Aeetes and Circe. We'll get to that later. Okay, Helios appears to be riding across the sea in the cup of the Delphic tripod, which may be a solar reference. It obviously is a solar reference. He has daughters, Phaethusa, the radiant, Lempetea, the shining. Okay. Athenaeus in De Panosophiste relates that at the hour of sunset, Helios climbed into a great golden cup in which he passes from the Hesperides in the farthest west to the land of Ethiops, with whom he passes the dark hours, while Hercules travels to Erythea, to retrieve the cattle of Geryon. He crossed the Libyan desert and was so frustrated at the heat that he shot an arrow at the Helios, the sun. Obviously, these guys weren't the Greeks, right? These guys weren't the Egyptians, okay? And they fired an arrow at the sun. They couldn't stand the African heat. Not only are they not black from being in Africa, they can't stand the fucking heat. What's this guy's name? Herodotus, when he didn't know it, to Egypt, he didn't really know his way around. See, apologizing, and in turn, Helios granted him the golden cup. Okay, so he apologized profusely, and in turn, Helios granted him the golden cup and behind him to shoot through this. Helios and Apollo. The Greeks compared Horus to Apollo. In Homeric myths, Apollo is a plague dealer with a silver and not a golden bowl with no solar features. The earliest certain reference to Apollo identified with Helios appears in the surviving fragments of Euripides' play Phaeton. In a speech near the end, Clymene, Phaethon's mother, laments that Helios has destroyed her child. Helios is called Apollo, from Apollon, the destroyer. So we have many references from Apollo being the wolf, okay? And we look at the British, right, Harry and David, compare them to the statues of Apollo, damn near spitting images. This is sex cults emulating these other people that go out of their way to, you know, pass on their dominant genes to people who have whose genes are likely to allow for the expression of these statue-like features and so on and so forth. All right. By Hellenistic times, Apollo had become closely connected with the sun in cult. His epithet, Phoebus, meaning the shining, was later also applied by Latin poets to the sun god's soul. This is a commonplace identification in philosophic texts and appearing in the writings of Parmenides, Empedocles, Plutarch, and Crates of Thebes, among others, as well as appearing in some Orphic texts. So now let's get into the Orpheus connection. You know, a bunch of sickos, a bunch of homosexuals that happen to be completely sick in the head for whatever reason, involved in Freemasonry. Talk about the mysteries of Orpheus. Helios. Pseudo-Eratosthenes writes about Orpheus in Castaterisme, section 24. But having gone down into Hades because of his wife and seeing what sort of things were there, he did not continue to worship Dionysus. Okay? And I've gone over who he is time and time again. Because of whom he was famous. So Orpheus was made famous by this sicko Dionysus, who has to do with homosexuality, wine. There's a strong Pan connection there. Bacchus, wine, you know, getting people drunk and playing music, taking advantage of them. You know, Dionysus, he's a sicko, he's a rapist, he's a piece of shit deity. But he thought Helios to be the greatest of the gods, right? He's in hell, Hades, okay? And he thinks Helios is the greatest of the gods. From there, obviously, Helios is a satanic version, of the sun, of sun worship. Helios, whom he also addressed as Apollo, rousing himself each night toward dawn and climbing the mountain called Pangaion. Okay, so Pan, gay, I, on, Heliopolis, okay? The Greeks called it Heliopolis, okay? Which is Ra's cult center, and it's a Greek twist of it after the foreign period when the Greeks took over, then the Romans, and then so on and so forth. And the Roman Empire obviously spread into Northern Europe, and Northern Europe through the British Empire pretty much colonized much of the world, along with the French and the Spanish, and I'm sure you all know that. Anyway, he would await the sun rising so that he might see it first. Therefore, Dionysus, being angry with him, sent the Basarides as Aeschylus. The tragedian says they tore him apart and scattered his limbs. So, again, Dionysus is mad because he elevates Helios above him, who he relates to Apollo. And we'll get into Apollo at the end, why he's such an appalling deity. Appalling. And how it connects to homosexuality and intellect over superstition. And it's a very significant deity. I've gone over him before. We'll go over him again. So Dionysus and someone else are sometimes identified with Apollo, Helios. So give a fuck. Moving on. Helios. Latin poets used Phoebus as a by-name for the sun god, whence came common references in later European poetry to Phoebus and his car, chariot. Phoebus probably is where we get the word phobia, okay? So they talk about being homophobic, right? Xenophobic. Has everything to do with their cult agenda and how they don't want people to despise things that are different. They want you to stray from morality. And in the process, obviously, some people who are racist might be less racist. But for what reason? So they accept the most righteous and the best from other races? Or do they accept sickos and weird pedophile and goat-riding sex cults? I mean, Pan literally has a statue fucking a goat in the ass. I mean, no one denies it. Okay, anyway. All right, so anyway, references to European poetry to Phoebus and his car. His chariot, right? His car. Why do bitches say, oh, they're dumb sluts that like guys with nice cars. They're sexy sluts in car magazines, right? It goes back to Helios and Apollo and Phoebus and his car and his chariot as a metaphor for the sun. Just despicable. There's no martial arts in it. It's just despicable sickos, and we'll get into the gender-neutral Artemis kind of archer bullshit, far shooting, far butt-plugging bitch shit in a moment. Okay. In particular instances in myth, Apollo and Helios are distinct. The sun god, son of Hyperion, with his sun chariot, though often called Phoebus the Shining, is not called Apollo except for in non-traditional identifications. You wonder where we get the word appalled. Okay, because person who is a righteous person is appalled by this bitch shit. Apollo never actually described by the Greek poets as driving the chariot, although it was common among Latin poets. So the Greek poets left it alone and say, hey, you know what? These are separate deities. You know, he doesn't drive the chariot. It's later on we start getting these things merged together. Certainly the Romans take over from the Greeks, and not only Egypt, but empire in general, empire building in general. Apollo, the god of music, poetry, art, oracles, right? Archery, plague, medicine, sun, light, and knowledge and science. These are basically the bitches who use science and astrology and control politics and play both sides, fund both sides. These are the bankers, the pharmaceutical companies, the war profiteers who just happen to be rich all the time after every war for whatever reason. You're a dumbass if you don't know how things work. A dumbass. You're a coward if you say this sounds like conspiracy theory. You're a fucking moron. Okay, that's like saying gangs in the city, you know what, I'm not going to compare it. You're just a dumbass. Okay, anyway, his symbol is the lyre, the laurel, the wreath, the python. Even though he slays the python, he becomes the chaos. He is the chaos. He is the fence and the wall, and we'll get into that more momentarily. The raven, a strong connection to the crow, acrobat, and these kind of sissies we have in martial arts these days, and so on, right? And going back to the movie The Crow, Brandon Lee, we'll get into Bruce Lee later, don't worry. Matter of fact, we'll get into the next video. I'm going to end it here. I'm sick of this shit. Swan. We get the Aswan government, right? Who named Heliopolis? Who named Aswan, right? The ugly duckling is really a swan. Okay, when you really go to the root of that story, it's really about someone like me, but these people have assumed the role and made it about plugging butts and being pedophiles and bestiality and sex cults that basically control all women. You'll have a lot of dumb, clueless type of fucking bitches, Lisa Silverstone or whatever the fuck her name is, type of dumb bitches who think that their reproduction is in control. When you live in a society where you have great military minds, psychology, and Einstein-like motherfuckers. You know, I'm not saying he's that smart, mind you, but you know, people who are smart from the point of view of these clueless dumb bitches, right? And you're a clueless dumb bitch. Yes, your reproduction is controlled. When guys for thousands of years have been trying to control reproduction, and you are a dumb, groupie, conformist, okay, miseducated, kind of airhead bitch. Yes, your reproduction is controlled, you stupid fuck. It makes me want to slap the shit out of you and beat you with a brick that you pretend that's not the case. It's so annoying. Anyway, his symbols also are bow and arrows. He's the son of Zeus and Leto and has a twin sister, Artemis. He's the defender of herds and flocks. He has dominion over colonists, right? Herds, sheep, right? Yes, Apollo. You know, Jesus is basically Pan, like everything else in pagan society, in occult society. You know, they work the angles, okay? Apollo is a very much, emphasized version of Jesus, application of Jesus, okay? He has dominion over the colonists who spread Christianity, okay? Defender of herds and flocks. That goes back to the sacred cattle that I've gone over in the other parts of this series. Okay, Hermes created the lyre for him. Hermes, we have the Mercury connection to the drugging and the raping rituals. The reason why people are drugged with psych meds and illicit street drugs and different substances and chemicals goes back to Hermes. Hermes, Aphroditus, hermaphrodites, trannies, Mercury, right? The rape culture, okay, that women are a part of. It's stupid not to see it that way. When you're sucking and fucking the main guys who designed the system, and you're promoting hypergamy, and you're teasing sickos so they can then use their cult roles to rape you later, and frats are raping you, and you're dressing like sluts and inspiring them to rape you, yes, you're part of the rape culture, you stupid bitch. That's like saying fucking the guy's dick is not part of the rape process, it's just the guy's brain. I mean, shut the fuck up with that bitch shit. Anyway, Artemis is identified with Selene, the moon goddess. Apollo and Helios became identified in literary and mythological texts in the 3rd century BC. The Doric month, Apelios, initiation of young men during the family festival Apelii. Okay, Doric Apella, which originally meant wall. It goes back to the law and the wall. The H is the fence. Okay, also for the fence for the animals, and later assembly within the limits of the square, masonry, the square and compass. Apollo is the name for a popular assembly in Sparta, corresponding to the ecclesia. There's also strong connections to Corinth, so I don't have time. Destroyer, Apollos, redemption, Apollios, purification, also means simple. He's born of a wolf, and it goes back to Lysigenes, Lycia, and so on.